Guys, we hit on the recruiting weekend a little bit in our last segment, but let's close on that topic with Nebraska. Right now, according to our On3 list, we have 26 unofficial visitors coming in for the weekend. I believe 16 or 4 or 5 stars right now. It's really incredible. I mean, I think this recruiting weekend is going to get the attention of just about everyone nationally. It's going to be the story. Now, Brian Munson did a really good job in 3 and Out this week.
Okay.
You know, to kind of just preference. I think people are like, oh, lots of. They're not going to be a lot of commits. A lot of these guys, this is maybe visit number 1, visit number 2. It's before official business season starts. A lot of these guys, I think the key is, can you get them to come back? Mm-hmm. That is what you need to watch for. Okay. If this goes well, can Matt Rule get some of these key guys that are here for the very first time in their life to come back?
Okay, so you're not just so you're on the record here saying you don't expect like a long line of commits or any commits?
Well, it's just not the norm for high profile.
Right.
Like if you have the leverage on a kid, you could kind of force their hand. But in a weekend like this, I don't really.
I got it.
You're not in a position to tell Dylan Raiola he's got to commit.
No.
Or Williams Noarni. Or I mean, you want them to get comfortable with you, to build relationships, and that's the key.
Yeah, that's huge.
Brian put it at his percentage of getting a commitment this weekend, 20%.
20. Okay.
So
just a single commitment.
The percentage I put on this weekend leading to a commitment is only about 20%.
But I don't want to diminish the weekend.
A lot of it's just the caliber of players.
Right.
I mean, these guys are going to go through the process. You're getting offers from everybody.
And Rule has said it. Rule has said it, and so have other coaches. Nebraska is a place where it's important to get people here because I think there's a misconception among many, many people, not just kids, about what Lincoln, Nebraska looks like, what Omaha, Nebraska looks like.
Big farm, according. I mean, a lot of kids think it's just like the sticks, and then they come out here and they're always like, "Whoa."
Well, this is not the sticks, right? I mean, Lincoln is in the middle of a cornfield essentially, but it's not.
It's 300,000 people,
right? 300,000, and it's nice. I mean, Rule has talked about he was so struck by the Haymarket Rail Yard district when he came here, and it's striking. You got to kind of imagine yourself coming in to Lincoln. And as you drive in, what do you see? Memorial Stadium off to your left. In the distance, you see this incredible Pinnacle Bank Arena. And right away, I think if you're coming in and you've never seen it, you're like, wow. I mean, what are we going into here? You're going into a nice downtown area.
Mm-hmm. You're listening here to the Husker Online show. Dylan Raiola, too. I just think that angle never gets old. I mean, we'll keep riding that one, baby, all the way. But what's next? We know he's got other visits lined up. In fact, I'm going to pull that up on his On3 page right now because he's got several more coming in the works. Like right now, Chad Simmons, who has a great relationship with the Raiolas, he has Dylan Raiola coming back again for the Red-White Spring Game weekend. So that would be interesting if that is indeed true, that he'll be here on the 22nd of April as well. Georgia, he's there. He was there this past weekend. I didn't hear a lot out of that. Nothing really came out of that. He has been to USC now twice, January and then March 4th weekend. Then you go down to Oregon, April 29th. He's been out at Oregon as well. So
he will be out at Oregon.
And then Georgia Tech, he was there last week too on St. Patty's Day.
Georgia Tech.
And the connection there is, I believe the coach that was at Georgia is now the head coach of Georgia Tech. Okay. So there's a relationship there with that coach.
Boy, that'd be an upset special. Dylan Raiola ends up at Georgia Tech. Tell me that wouldn't be a massive upset.
I will not tell you that because I will.
Yeah.
But this weekend, just get him back. And then around these other guys, like that's what's unpredictable about this weekend because you never know what kind of bonds are going to get created.
Right.
What if a bunch of these guys, and this is, I'm just being pie in the sky, glass very half full guy here, but what if a bunch of these guys are like, let's do this.
Let's try this.
Let's come here.
Yeah.
Like we can do this.
Yeah.
Like what if that happens? I mean, that's what you're ultimately like, that these guys that are here all weekend hit it off and say, let's go, come here.
Yeah, you're giving yourself a chance of that happening by getting them here, obviously. That's the big thing. And if you're a Nebraska fan, I try to look at it through the eyes of Nebraska fans. You just like the aggression and you understand. Now we have silver lining to the struggles of recent years. You kind of got an idea of what you need. You got a better idea of what you need. Nebraska, I mean, you don't win the Big Ten, I always say, with cute stories and, guys that are overachievers. That helps to have guys like that on your roster. But Ohio State doesn't win Big Ten titles with overachieving players. What do you see when you see them? What do you see when you see Michigan now?
First-round draft picks.
First rounders. No
Multiple.
doubters. No doubters. Yeah, no doubters. So, yeah, I mean, Stroud's going to be the first – C.J. Stroud. Probably be the first pick overall. How do you beat that team if you don't have all Big Ten players? I mean, that's what it comes down to. And Rule's got to move Nebraska back into that realm, and it's not going to happen overnight.
No, and that's I think everyone wants it to flip overnight. I think it's a step
usually doesn't.
It's a step-by-step build, though. I mean, like
usually is.
Can he? I mean, and we're going to talk about this till we're blue in the face. But can they take that step? He needs a progressional step forward this first year to like get to a bowl league. I mean, I just think. And people scoff at that.
Sean, well, they don't scoff. Some people say, don't put so much pressure on the coach.
I mean, they won 4 last year, and they had the lead in the fourth quarter in 4 of their losses.
I'm not saying they have to get to a bowl, but Rule himself talks glowingly about what he's inherited. All the people that try to say, and there's people in the media market that try to say, oh, he walked into a dumpster fire. I mean, this place was a train wreck. They can't. How do they keep saying that?
Yeah, tell that to Iowa.
Yeah. And how do they keep saying that?
Beat Wisconsin
how do you
year.
keep saying that when you listen to Rule? When you hear Rule say these guys are tough. This is a competitive team. This team had a 3.12 GPA. That's unheard of.
Unheard of is what he said.
Yeah.
During a coaching change.
But yet you'll still have people say, "Oh no, he walked into a bad situation." No, it's not that bad. I mean, they got a returning quarterback who's really good, 8 guys back on defense that was playing pretty well at the end of the season. Not a train wreck. Now, am I saying they got to go to a bowl game? No, they don't. But it looks like the type of roster that can win 6 or 7.
It's not out of the question at all for them to go to a bowl. I mean, I don't consider it putting it like unnecessarily high expectations to say get to 6 wins.
Right.
And in today's landscape, you're not that far off.
They weren't.
For one.
Right.
Their schedule is not overwhelming.
No.
I mean, you got some tough ones out of the gate.
Tough ones out of the gate. That's the thing.
So if you can keep your head above water there, who knows? But we'll see. So, Sean, I want to ask you. Brian wrote this in his 3-2-1, or his 3 and out. So he's been doing this for 24 years. That's about as long as you've been doing it, right?
Yeah.
Roughly. Yeah. Of covering Nebraska football recruiting, and he said nothing compares to a visit weekend like this coming weekend in his entire career.
Jeez.
Would you go as far as to say that?
In terms of volume of visitors and 5 stars and number 1s and 4 stars, yeah. I've never seen one like. You can't really have one bigger than this. And this is the biggest.
I don't know how you do it any bigger than this.
What do you bring in, 50? I mean, 26 guys. That's 26.
Incredible.
Guys that are coming on their own.
4 or 5 stars.
I mean, that's a recruiting operation. That's just not Rule.
It's a recruiting seminar. I mean, it's going to be a convention over there on Friday.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's going to be insane. I mean, I can't imagine just the amount of work in that building that's going to go on to put together a day on Friday to entertain these recruits, their families, and then they'll come back again on Saturday for practice, assuming they're staying overnight, which I believe most are, Friday. And they've even invited the recruits Thursday morning. They can go to the workouts if they want. Friday morning. If they wanted to go over to the 6 a.m. Workouts, they're welcome to come over that early to see the team do their meetings and workouts.
Interesting.
This was asked in the chat. Like, beyond just the normal visit experience, is there anything that Nebraska can do to like really put this thing over the top? People are asking like, meeting Tom Osborne or stuff like that.
Matter.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think of like,
wow, Sean.
I mean,
ways that Nebraska can really put this weekend over the top, given the significance we just talked about. What more can they do besides tour the facilities, meet with the academic team?
I mean, create a culture, create a bond, create an atmosphere for these kids to want to be with each other. I mean, that's what they've got to do. And I know they're going to do some games. Like they're going to eat, their meals, and they're going to have like yard games and fun things set up where guys can interact and play and have fun.
Yeah, you don't want to. Hey, and now what I would say, Rob and Sean, is you don't want to present your program as something that's not. So just show them what it is.
I mean, family, culture,
right? Yeah.
So it should be big, and we're going to have coverage. We'll have a lot of coverage. So get on Husker Online Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Got the best guy in the business, Brian Munson, in terms of tracking down recruits. I've never been around anyone better than Brian at doing that. So
just goes into beast mode.
You just stay out of Brian's way, because he will get a hold of by far the most visitors of anybody, because he's done it for 20 plus years that way.
24.
And so stay on Husker Online. We'll have full coverage. Got a great spring special too. 4 months for $10, limited time special to get Husker Online access. So take advantage of that. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe to us here on YouTube or anywhere that you can find podcasts.